Who's ready to learn some stuff today? Yeah, all right. All right, so I see a few empty seats here, so if you guys want to come up and grab your seats right now, this is a good time. We're going to get started. Everyone in the back there who's standing there and staring at me? Yeah, all of you? Yeah. All right, you guys can come on up. All empty seats you can steal, so if you don't sit down now, this gentleman here will steal our seat with abiding laws that govern the seat rules. Yeah, just steal the seats, they're not coming. Do it. Yeah, see, there we go. All right. I have a formula for success, a formula that guarantees success. Does anyone believe me? Yes. What is the formula that guarantees success? Call it out. How do you guarantee success? Hard work. Hard work. Yeah, who said that? What's that? What was the other one? Wear a bow tie. Wear a bow tie, yeah, that's true too. Intention, that's great. Laser focus. Determination, absolutely. All right, that's enough examples. So, to guarantee success, Nicole heard it before, she was absolutely correct. Nicola. You don't want to just change your name to Nicole? No, it's okay. I always call her Nicole. So Nicola got it correct. So it's focus. If you're able to focus 100%, you cannot fail. Focus eliminates failure. When you're able to sit down and get to work and really focus. Anyone have those times when you're working on a project, you're behind schedule, and you're like, I have to get this done before I go to bed tonight because in the morning I've got a presentation, or in the morning I have to deliver this. And then you work for maybe a couple hours and then it's done, but you've been procrastinating about it for 2 or 3 weeks. Who's had that experience before? Right? So what that was you self-sabotaging yourself to have to focus. But if you're able to remember what your mindset was at that moment, that was focus. So when you're able to focus on something 100%, it eliminates failure. You will succeed no matter what. But there is something that kills focus, and that is distractions. So focus guarantees success, it eliminates failure, but distractions eliminate focus. So if you're distracted, you will not succeed. So what I want to ask everyone to do today is to focus 100% while Dan is speaking. That means no cell phones, no checking social media. Of course, we love it if you take pictures and share on social media and that sort of thing. But do that during the breaks. You can also do that during times that maybe you're doing networking and there's breaks. But while Dan is on the stage and Dan is speaking, I'm going to ask everyone to not touch your phones. No phones on tables. All right? No phones on tables. No looking at your phones. All phones on silent. And if somebody at your table pulls up their phone, I want you all to give them a very bad look. All right? So it's going to look like something like this. Okay? So everyone can practice that look. Just look at everyone at your table and give them the bad look as if they just looked at their phone. Go ahead. All right, second, if your phone makes a sound while Dan is speaking, you will be donating $20 to a charity foundation called Do What You Love. All right? So your phone makes a sound during Dan's time speaking. You have just donated $20 to a charity. Is that cool? Everyone agree? So that way, because if your phone rings, it's not just going to distract you, it's going to distract everybody. It might even distract Dan while he's speaking. Okay, so no phones while Dan is speaking. There will be breaks, okay? I promise you the world will not end. Your clients will not fire you if you don't respond to them by the next break, okay? We're going to have lots of breaks. You're going to have an opportunity to check your phone, okay? But if Dan is on stage and Dan is speaking, no touching your phone. Is that cool? Otherwise, the bad looks, all right? Here we go. So I set up a little presentation here that I'll go through real quick, and then we're going to get Dan up on the stage. Here we go. So a few of you don't know who I am, so I'm just going to do a really quick brief bio about myself and my background and why we're here. So if you were to Google my name and type in Matt Asfeld on Google, you're going to find dozens and dozens of pages of results about me. And you can go there, look at it later if you'd like to. You can also go into YouTube. You type in my name. I've optimized a ton of videos on YouTube as well that you can take a look at if you want to learn more about the stuff that I usually talk about. But what I want to talk to you about is stuff that you're not going to find on Google. And that is that I originally started my career in the film industry. I was inspired by the movie Pulp Fiction, and I was inspired by how the story was told in a non-linear sort of way. It was a different kind of movie. I was also about 14 or 15 years old when I watched this movie, and I shouldn't have been watching this movie. So, you know, it really, made me think this movie is really cool, because if my parents knew I was watching this movie, I'd probably get in trouble. And, it put me on a path to start to really enjoy film and storytelling. And I became very motivated around watching different movies, and I kind of grew up and learned a lot of my lessons around some of the most popular movies, such as Star Wars became my religion. I was inspired by even the movie American Beauty and Fight Club. I used to watch these movies over and over again. I've seen the Godfather trilogy, I swear to God, probably 12 times. And that's kind of what taught me about family. It was kind of weird. But movies is... It is a great movie about family. But movies is what really inspired me and kind of drove me. I worked in the film industry. I was actually a props person in the film industry. I worked on some independent films as an art director. But what I really wanted to do was do more storytelling. What happened was, when I was working in the film industry, I realized that people who had worked in the film industry for a long time, over 10 years, typically they hated their job and they hated their life, because the film industry demands a lot of hours out of your day. And every time one movie ends, you're now hunting for the next project. And so there was this never-ending kind of, when is my next paycheck going to come? And then when you do get a gig, you are working a minimum of 12 hours per day, 5 days a week. And sometimes even 6 days a week. I work 20-hour days, right? And you just feel like death. When you have not gotten any sleep for several days in a row, like you actually feel like you are dying. And I realized that that's not the lifestyle that I wanted. At the time, the real estate industry was booming, and my friends were all becoming realtors, and I became a real estater. I used to call it a real estater because I didn't understand what a realtor and a real estate agent was. So everyone made fun of me, and my friend made me this as a joke. That's not a real mustache. That was my first flyer. I totally flopped and failed as a realtor. I sold one property. It was from my dad. And at the end of the year, I had over $30,000 in unsecured debt. This is credit card debt. It's not like I bought a property and had debt. I just had straight up credit card debt. And I went to my managing broker and I said, I'm broke. I don't have any real estate skills. I've got no sales skills. I've got no marketing skills. What should I do? At the time, I was in my early 20s, and he said, Matt, he's like, you're young. Why don't you go figure out this internet marketing stuff? And so I said, okay. It just so happened that a week prior to that, I had met a guy, an Indian guy with a really thick accent. He had just came from the US. He had just only been there for a few years. Prior to that, he had grown up in India, and he was starting an SEO company. And he was telling me about SEO. This is a week prior to this conversation. And he told me about SEO, and my first question was, is that legal? I had no idea about SEO or the fact that you could get a website to rank on Google. I had never even paid attention to that. So I went back to him later that day and I said, hey, can you teach me about this internet marketing stuff? So it just so happened he had just arrived in Canada, thick accent, not great communication skills, and he wanted to grow a company to sell websites and SEO. So he said, hey, why don't you help me sell websites and SEO, because that's what I need help with, and I'll teach you internet marketing. So I kind of became his apprentice. And this is us here. We ended up taking a road trip because I wanted to see Facebook headquarters. I thought there'd be a big sign. That was Facebook headquarters at the time, and they would not let us inside. It was high security. And we also visited Google. They had a bigger sign at Google, and we just kind of wanted to see what it was like to kind of be there at these offices. And we thought we can go inside, but they don't let you go inside. So that's Sandeep there beside me. And so From there, I started getting mentoring from him, going to all these meetings, trying to sell SEO and websites. We did very well, actually, doing that. We did over $500,000 in revenue within 2 years, and that was just our first year starting. Then I started kind of venturing on my own, and that's kind of when Web Friendly was born. But between that time, I started getting lessons and learning from mentors. Some people that I followed were Eben Pagan, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tim Ferriss, Seth Godin. I watched lots of YouTube videos. I've watched thousands and thousands of hours of YouTube videos. I still do to learn new strategies and new techniques all the time. I'm always learning. And I also got my hands on this program called Traffic Secrets 2.0. Anybody know what that is? Who knows what that is? One person. So Traffic Secrets 2.0 was the first big product launch. Everyone's familiar with Jeff Walker's product launch. Traffic Secrets was the first big one. It was the first one to do over $1 million. It was the one that made people in the information industry kind of open their eyes and realize that you could become a millionaire selling information and advice. So I got in this program. It was 12 discs, and me, Sandeep, and 2 other friends decided that we would form a small mastermind, and on the weekend we would watch all 12 discs, and we would be so smart by Monday. So then they came over, we started watching one disc, then we started talking, we put on the other one, we started talking, and that was it. And it was an amazing weekend. We actually were so smart by Monday. And then that Monday, one of those guys who came is Ty Chu. Some of you guys know him. So Ty put an ad on Craigslist and said, hey, we want to start an internet mastermind. And he put that ad out. Someone responded to him and said, hey, we've already got this mastermind started. It's happening on Monday nights. It's in this old dingy hair salon. So he's like, hey, Matt, you got to come. We got to go to this mastermind. And I almost didn't go. I was almost going to be lazy. There's a lot of reasons not to go to an event. I'm sure a lot of you woke up early this morning and thought, maybe I'll just sleep in, but you showed up. And that's what I did. I showed up. I actually went there and I attended, and that eventually grew into what I started was a meetup, and now we started the Internet Masterminds meetup, which is now the largest internet marketing meetup on meetup.com. We have over 6,000 members. We've done over 300 events, and that all started from that initial mastermind and getting together with those people. So I encourage you, today, you're going to meet people, and you can connect with them, you can form a mastermind with them, and learn from them as well. So in 2009, I started Web Friendly. 2009, we also started Internet Masterminds. And then in 2010, I started doing a workshop called the Facebook for Brands workshop. It was a workshop about this size. It was 4 hours, and I taught people about some Facebook. Anyone here at any of those events at Facebook for Brands? I did a few of them. I see a few familiar faces here that were there. Then I started what was called the Social Media Director Certification Program, and this helps people to learn how to become a social media director, so doing social media for businesses. Okay, so I kind of moved away from teaching business owners how to do social media, because I would teach them, then they would say, I don't have any time to do this, can I just hire you? And then I'd already had enough clients, so I said, well, no, I'm doing this training for you. So then I started teaching more people how to handle that business, so that way I could send business their way. That was what the Social Media Director was about. Then we started the SEO Director in 2014, same concept, but now you're doing SEO as a service for businesses. And then later on, just last year, we started 4 Steps of Social Media Profits Bootcamp. A few of you were there. Who was at that event? Yeah, a few of you there. And then from there, we started Instant Social Media Profits and Instant Sales Systems. And these programs were more geared towards business owners to learn how to manage their own social media and manage their own sales systems. I'll tell you more about that later. So I've had the opportunity to travel and speak at events. I've spoken at several events here in Vancouver. This is me speaking at Socialite in Toronto. I also got the opportunity to go to Thailand. I was there for 5 weeks, and it was an amazing trip this last summer. The year before that, I went to Australia for 5 weeks, did a lot of traveling there. Australia is very, very expensive, by the way. I also did an impromptu trip to Vegas, and then I went to Disneyland all within a week. It was amazing. It was a very last-minute trip. I was able to buy my dream car. I've always wanted a Benz, and so I was able to do that last year as well. And I'm able to reward myself by buying myself silly, expensive gifts, such as these FX lightsabers that Star Wars makes that I really love. So I'm sharing this with you because I've been able to build what I consider a lifestyle business. So I'm not about working 12 or 15 hours a day. I want to work the fewest hours, make the biggest impact, and I do that by focusing. I also spend a lot of time watching a lot of TV. I've seen all of these shows. This is several hundred hours of TV. So I'm showing you this so you understand that I do not work all the time. Although people think that I'm always busy and they always say, hey Matt, how you been? Looks like you've been really busy. I've been busy watching Survivor. So just so you guys know. All right, so I also just had a baby. I've got 3 cats. So my baby is Marcus, and then the 3 cats are Miko, Miyagi, and Michio. All their names start with M. And I also just got a PlayStation in November. I got it from Costco, and when I was there, they're like, yeah, you can buy this, you can return it anytime in 2 years. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'll just play it for Christmas, then I'll return it. Now I play it every weekend. So if anyone else plays PlayStation, I can give you my username. We can play video games together as well. So again, I'm just articulating the fact that I don't work all the time, although people think that I do. I've got a lot of free time. So now that's enough about me. Let's talk about Dan. So Dan Lok, is a millionaire mentor. He's a great person to learn from, and obviously that's not him, but this is Dan here, right? And I call this the Iron Man suit whenever he wears his red suit. But there's something you don't know about Dan. Dan doesn't only have an Iron Man suit. And by the way, this was a very expensive suit. He bought this in Vegas. I don't even know how much he spent on this, but I know it was a designer suit, very expensive suit. But he also has another very expensive suit. Anyone know what it is? The black suit? He has a full, authentic Batman Dark Knight suit as well. All right, so I suggest that the next time Dan does a workshop or a TED Talk, he not wear the red suit, he wear the Batman suit. Who's with me? Yeah. I want to see Dan's next event in the Batman suit. He can do the start as Batman, then later come on as Bruce Wayne or something like that, right? Dan wrote this book called FU Money. So I first got a copy of FU Money in 2010 at the Canada Marketing Summit. It seems like the Canada Marketing Summit was something that kind of ignited the internet marketing community in Vancouver. It feels like all the kind of big players in the internet marketing scene today were all at this event, which is kind of strange looking back at it. A lot of the friends that I hang out with now were at this event. And at the event, anyone who's been to the Canada Marketing Summit, the model of the conference is that every speaker does a pitch, right? And then it's the back of the room kind of sales, right? And so we were at this event. I didn't know about the model of those types of events. Now I'm not a huge fan of them, but I was there just learning, and then every speaker was doing a pitch, and it was always like, oh gosh, like here's another pitch, and let's go get coffee now or whatever. But when Dan got up, Dan just ignited the whole audience. He had everyone's attention. And even when he was doing his pitch, he still had everyone's attention. It was actually cool the way that he had performed his entire talk. By the way, I didn't even realize, I was trying to find a photo from this Canada Marketing Summit. I didn't realize this whole talk is actually on YouTube, on the Canada Marketing Summit's YouTube channel. Do you guys want to check it out? Did you know it was there? You knew? Okay. And so, really great talk. It was actually very interesting if you watch this. This is now, 6-7 years ago. Dan looks like he's like 20 years old. Very different if you watch Dan here and you watch Dan now. It's very interesting to watching that yesterday. So that's when I first saw Dan. I was very captivated, and he was like a celebrity to me, right? I was like, this guy's so cool. I took my picture with him. I cannot find this picture. I've looked everywhere on my computer. Took a picture with him. He gave me his book. The next day, I went to Starbucks and I read the entire book. It blew me away. It was the first time I was learning about this information. So anyone else read FU Money? You know what I'm talking about? Oh, wow, cool. A lot of you. So you guys know what I'm talking about. So then, a couple of years ago, I was doing a meetup. And you guys know, if anyone's been to an Internet Masterminds meetup, we go around the room. Everyone gets 30 seconds. You say who you are and what you do. And so we're going around the room, and all of a sudden, Dan Lok was just sitting in the audience and stands up and he says, hey, I'm Dan Lok. I had not recognized him at all. And I was like, Dan Lok? It's like, you're my hero. And then after I said, hey, would you hang out afterwards and I can chat with you and see if you'd be interested to do a talk here at Internet Masterminds. So after he did, we chatted and he agreed to do a talk. It was the first time he had spoken in front of an audience in, I think it was like 3 or 4 years, right? And we packed the room, right? So this is when we were doing the events at Sweet Genius. There's over 100 people in this place. We're definitely over Fire Code. We've actually now moved to a larger venue. So this was the first time that Dan spoke at Internet Masterminds. And then Dan calls me a few weeks later. And and he says, hey, Matt, he said, I'm going to start a meetup. It's called the Vancouver Entrepreneurs Group. And so, of course, my reaction is like, you're going to do what? So I was like, man, and on top of that, what he said, and I want you to promote it for me. And I said, what the hell? I said, so now this millionaire is coming in, he's getting on my turf, he's gonna start his own meetup, and now my meetup is gonna die, and he's calling me and saying, would you email your list and let them know about my meetup? I was like, why would I do this? And so I was kind of like, well, what's the mutually beneficial opportunity here? He's like, you can promote my events, and once in a while, I can promote your events. I'm like, but my meetup has 6,000 members. Yours doesn't have any. How does this work? And he goes, we're just gonna work together. I said, okay, whatever. So I thought Dan was a really cool guy. So my first reaction was like, what the hell? But later on, I saw Dan. I started his meetup. It was doing really well, and this was his first event. It was packed. I think there was more than 200 people there. I tweeted about it. I Facebooked about it a little bit, but I also attended. I attended the event, and I was also, again, astonished and fully entertained while Dan was speaking. And I told Dan, I said, I would love it if you did a whole weekend workshop. I could just listen to you all day, I could listen to you all weekend, and there's not a lot of people who I would say that to. There's not a lot of people who I would spend an entire weekend with and learn from just one person. And I've been asking Dan to do that for a long time. That's kind of how this event came about, because for the last couple of years, I keep telling Dan, we got to do a longer event. I want to listen to you all day long. And Dan has been consistent with his meetup, right? And he's actually inspired me to do even greater things with my meetup. You can see now he's done 43 meetups. He's only been around here since 2014. Doing 43 meetups. We've been around for about 60 years. We've done 300 meetups. So he's been consistent with producing events. And I thought he was going to do one or two events or a few events and then kind of bail, right? That's kind of what I didn't think that he was going to keep it up, but he did. And his events are great to go to as well, right? And so this was then, we ended up doing a second event together. It was actually here. This is pictures from this room as well. We did another event together. And again, this one also just blew me away. And so this time, Dan calls me up. Right? And I answered the phone. I go, what's up, Dan? Right? And so now I'm excited. I really like Dan. And Dan had did this whole talk about his mentorship program. And I was really excited because I'm sitting in the back. I was the guy who was promoting the event. And I'm sitting in the back like, I got to sign up for this right now. Right? And I was so excited. I was thinking about what I was going to talk to him about. So we had this post-event call. And I bring it up. I say, hey, Dan, I was really interested in what you were talking about in your mentorship. Would you be willing to mentor me? And he said, of course, I would love to mentor you. So we started working together. And we've been working together now for just about a year. And he's actually the one who helped me create the 4 Steps of Social Media Profits Bootcamp, the Instant Social Media Profits, and the Instant Sales System. So that all came about us doing a strategy session together. We also had Shane Gibson there. I had Shane Gibson also help me with this. So Shane ended up being a part of the entire program. And this generated tens of thousands of dollars for my business. And the most important part is that this all happened between November and December. I told Dan, I said, November, December is usually a slow time for my business because I'm usually in training and consulting. Once Christmas hits, I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this, it's like a dead zone, right? And so I'm usually not making a lot of money in December. And so I wanted to create something that would help me boost my revenues in a month that I usually don't make barely anything. And we accomplished this. We delivered 4 Steps of Social Media Profits in November. Then we started delivering Instant Social Media Profits between December and January. And at the end of January, we did a live event for the Instant Sales Systems. We recorded everything, and now we have a product that we can continue to sell online. We also worked together to promote the latest launch of the Social Media Director Program. Dan helped connect me with a promotional partner, put together a webinar, and did an entire promotion. Typically, I capped my Social Media Director Program at only 16 people. He remodeled a little bit so there'd be less one-on-one support with this additional promotion that we did. We did the promotion. We ended up making, right there, it's now at $85,000. This was an about 10-day promotion. After all said and done and all payments are collected, it was over $100,000, actually $101,000 that we generated in 10 days. So working with Dan has been fabulous for me. So now me and Dan are like Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. Without further ado, let's give it up for Dan Lok.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My relationship with Matt, it's pretty much, how many have seen Rush Hour?
Yeah, he's like the Chris Tucker. He fucks stuff up, and Jackie Chan comes to rescue the day. Right? I feel like I'm Jackie Chan. But seriously, it's been a great relationship, and when working together, it's interesting. Yesterday, I was actually taking a few hours going through your profile, visiting your website, and going through your business, and trying to learn as much as I could. And then after that, I had about 4 hours of sleep last night only, because then I tweaked about 20% of my PowerPoint just for you. So I worked till probably 2 a.m. in the morning. And then I rushed over here to deliver this one-day workshop. Like Matt mentioned, he's been asking me to do this for a long time.
Sorry, your double-breasted thing, I think I got to put it on the outside.
Thank you.
It's rubbing, sorry.
Thank you, okay. And so I don't do this a lot. Last time I did a one-day event is probably 5 years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago. So this would be interesting. Are you ready for it? Yes. Okay. Now, you can see that everyone should have a poster like this. Put up your hand if you have a poster. Okay, put up if you don't have a poster. A couple people missing. Make sure, do you have some extra posters? Yeah, just put your hand nice and high so they know. Okay, this is going to be what we are working from the entire day. So by the end of today, you'll walk out basically with a plan, a blueprint, a what? That you can execute. And in the back, you can take notes. So this should be quite neat when you fill that out as we work through different chunks. And in the back, you can take notes with it. You can draw, you can do mind mapping. It could be a mess, it's okay. But here, this is going to be a plan. And when you go home, you can just put it on your wall, and you can put it on Facebook, however you want to do it. But you follow this. You got it? Let me ask you a question. By show of hand, net profit-wise, how many of you are doing less than 6 figure per year right now? Okay. How many of you are doing more than 6 figure? How many are doing more than 7 figure? Okay, a couple of people from running. So what I'm going to talk about today, it really doesn't matter. You notice, oh well, you know, if I want to do 6 figure or even with 7 figure, if it's roughly the same. I would say even the 7 figure level, maybe an extra couple steps, but it's the same kind of formula, and this is what I've used over the years. I always believe in the power of intention. So I want to give you, let's say, 5 minutes. How long? 5 minutes. To introduce among your table, you've already kind of talked to each other, but share with, among your table, share with your friends, new friends, what were you hoping to get out of today? What were you hoping to get out of this workshop? So let me give you 5 minutes to do that. Okay? Go! Shake their hand and say, it's very nice meeting you. So, yell out the answer. So what were you hoping to get from this workshop today? Just yell the answer. System, yes? Ideas, okay. Strategies, okay. Plan, good. Positioning, good. We're going to talk a lot about positioning, yes. Business model, very nice, yes. Mindset. Who said connection? Okay, good, very good. Big chunk of it, we're going to talk about that. Good, good. So, now there are, of course, many, many ways. As my mentor said to me years ago, Dan, there are a million ways to make $1 million. And there are many, many different business models. And this just is my business model, and it's the one that I use, and it's the one that I teach. It's not the only business model. Yes? It's just what works. So for me personally, and I've done it a dozen times, probably 6-figure, and then a few times 7-figure. So this is just what works for me. So as you're learning these new ideas, one thing I want you to promise yourself is to think outside the box a little bit. That maybe you would see, well, because I know, because I've looked through quite a few we have people, few profiles, we have people in the information business, we have people in the investment business, we have people in the product business, service business, designing business, digital marketing, social media management, so all spectrum. I can tell you now, I've been involved with so many companies, it's all the fucking same. It's all the same. Business is about doing business with people. It's selling something to another party, deliver value in exchange of money. Unless your clients are aliens or something, it's the same. You're dealing with people, yes? So just keep an open mind as I go through some of these things. And then also that there's a difference between interest and commitment. Now for Wednesday and showing up here, so I want to acknowledge you for just being here, fighting through traffic and spending a day with me. So my job is to make sure I deliver and you walk out with a plan. And I also know, put up your hand if you're actually not from Vancouver. Okay, well, nice and high. Tom, where are you from?
St. Louis, Missouri.
And your name? Tom?
Gallagher.
Okay, and you're?
Chris.
Chris, and you're from?
Waterloo.
Waterloo, and who else?
I'm from Toronto.
Toronto, yes. And who else? From our town, yes.
My name is Kate.
Kate?
I'm from Victoria.
Kate, Victoria, okay. Anyone else? Yes.
Brian from Winnipeg.
Brian from Winnipeg. So it's interesting that when I invite people to the event, I get a couple email. One email from a lady saying, you know, I am, no, it's like it's an hour away from my home. It's too far for me. That's the difference between interested and committed. That's the difference. Remind me, years ago, I would get on a plane and I flew to Los Angeles just to have a breakfast with my mentor. Most people would not do that. And I've done that throughout my career because I know that if there is someone with certain strategies that could help me, I would go get it. Because strategies, write this down, strategies compress decades to days. That you can avoid those mistakes. And I've made a lot of mistakes, believe me, to come up with this model. So if I can help you avoid some of those mistakes, awesome. That you don't have to make as many mistakes, or it doesn't have to take you as long to get to your goal. Does that make sense? Yeah. So when you're interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. When you're committed to something, you accept no excuses and only results. And only results. And so that's why it's interesting. And then I have also another person who, when I saw the invitation, replied with an email, oh, you know, I am a realtor. So your stuff doesn't apply to me. Again, that's very close-minded. That's very, very close-minded. It's because it's just, oh, Dan, because people still like to pitch and hold me as, oh, you are the internet marketing guy. Although maybe internet marketing, it's like, if this is how much I do, maybe this is what I do. It's just a tool. It's a weapon that I have. It's a tool on my tool belt. But people like to pitch and, oh yeah, you are the expert in internet marketing. When, yeah, I know internet marketing. I know quite a bit about internet marketing, but it's not the only thing that I do. So today, I'm actually going to break a few rules when it comes to running seminars. How many have been to other workshops and seminars and things like that? Okay, most of you. How many have never been to a workshop before? This is like first time ever. Okay, good, we're all learners. So if you've been to other workshops and seminars, you know, so there are like a few basic rules that most people, whoops. What are my fucking rules? My wife Jenny, by the way, give her a round of applause. I'll remember the rules, so let me keep going. So the first rule is don't use profanity when you speak. And don't offend the audience. So if this is the first, how many of this is the first time you come to my workshop and come to my presentation? Okay, there will be occasional use. Now fuck that. Frequent use of profanity when I speak. So that's one rule that I would break. It's just the way I teach, and we have fun and we laugh and things like that. That's number one, okay? I'm gonna break that rule. The second rule that I'm gonna break, usually what happens is that in a workshop, you go to, let's say, a one-day workshop, a two-day workshop, what the speaker does, let me take you behind the scenes a bit, okay? Yeah? What most speakers do is they would usually spend the first morning establishing rapport, telling you stories, providing you with social proof, so you would kind of, it's just develop the trust, okay? So they do it in the morning, and then in the afternoon they would do something like, they give you a little bit of content, what I call teaser content. What kind of content? Teaser. Yeah, so you feel like you're learning shit, but it's not very practical, okay? It feels useful, but incomplete. Why would they do that? Tell me. Why would they do that?
Sell stuff.
Yeah, to sell stuff. So at the end, so when they have a program that they offer, because if they give you all the answers, you're not going to buy anything, right? So that's what most of, at the end, and then they would reveal the big sell, and they would build it up to it. You know, it's $35,000 worth of value for $29.95. If you act right now, and for the first 10 people. Okay, that's what most of them. Have you seen that before? Yeah, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to break the rule. I'm actually going to review the sell in the beginning.
Thank you, Darren.
Okay? So you can see the brochure that you have. That's in the application. I only have one program, and that's called the Danlock Inner Circle. And also what most of them do is they won't tell you the price until they build up. I'm going to tell you the price up front is 10K. So I want to get that out of the way so you can learn more just on your own through this brochure. Okay? So just get that out of the way. So I just broke the second rule. The third rule is, like I said, the useful but incomplete. So because they have, you know, let's say you go to one-day training, then they try to upsell to a 3-day training, and then a weekend thing, and then a 6-month thing, and a 12-month thing, yes? Very, very common. And I don't have any other training or workshops or 3-day or anything like that. So, like I said, I do this once a few years. So this plan, today you're going to walk away with a complete plan. Not like bits, pieces of information and feels incomplete. It's not like that. You're going to walk away with a plan. Instead of trying to create the perception that, like most speakers do, that the perception that they could help you, that they could potentially help you, I'm just going to demonstrate that I could help you by helping you. Does that make sense? Is that a little different? Yeah, so we're going to do that. And it's going to be highly interactive. You'll be working on your business throughout the whole day. And you can stop me anytime you have any questions. And after the workshop, I'll stay as long as you need to answer any questions you have. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay, so today I'm all yours. But in return, I only ask for one thing, and that is, by the end of the day today, you have no excuse of telling me, oh, Dan, I don't know what to do. Or I don't have enough information to get to that 6 figures. You cannot use that excuse anymore because you have more than you need to implement. In fact, with Matt, really, we only did step 4 and step 6. And we did 100K in about 10 days. Just step 4 and 6, not even the whole thing. Okay? Sound good? Yes? Awesome. Still putting?
Almost.
Thank you. So the 3 rules. Now, as I go through the 6 steps, and you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps, notice that maybe within your business that you may already have some of these things. How many of you are pretty clear on who your ideal clients are? Okay, so you might have some of these things. And some of my mentees, you might have all 6 steps all figured out already. But what I want you to do in your mind, still go through the exercise to see if we can refine that a little bit more. Okay, see if we can just refine that a little bit more. So even though, yeah, Dan, I've already got my irresistible offers. It's already selling well. Yeah, that's good. But let's see, still go through the exercise, see if we can make that better. Or if there are any things that we are missing. Does that make sense? So as we go through that, we're going to do that as well. What do you want that? Coming along, good. And you also see there's a mic here. If you have any questions, you can come with the mic. That's how, if you have a question, put up your hand, and then just go to the mic, and then ask any questions you have. Just wait for that to put up. In fact, let's take 2 minutes. How long? 2 minutes. Discuss what I've just said so far. 2 minutes. I'm on your table. Go!